G'day Reefers, I'm Cam the Fish Guy. Welcome to Gallery Aquatica TV. Today we're going to be looking at one of the worst cases of bubble algae that I have ever seen. We're also going to be doing a treatment on this tank and we're going to show you the results. So here it is, this is the tank with the bubble algae, and in the last 6 to 12 months this tank has really taken a bit of a turn for the worst, and it developed a few different problems. The worst problem was a massive outbreak of Aptasia, and Aptasia, being a small pest anemone, really caused a lot of problems, but we've rectified that by the addition of a stripey, and the stripey has eaten pretty much all of the Aptasia. But there is another problem. There's a huge outbreak of bubble algae, so that is the next step to rectify this tank. So let's have a close look at the bubble algae before we look at the treatment. This is the bubble algae here, and you can see it's really growing over most of the surfaces of rock that are getting light, and it looks effectively like a little bunch of grapes, and you can pop them. The problem with popping them is that the spores will release and it will spread, and it's not an effective way to get rid of bubble algae from your tank. So this is the bubble algae here. There's huge amounts here. You can see some of the bigger bubbles around. There's some big ones here. Underneath this anemone, look at this. So this is a huge problem under this anemone as well. So there's a couple that have just flown off. But this is the bubble algae, and it's really making it hard to have any success with this tank. It's displacing coralline algae. It's impossible to glue corals onto, and this is now the biggest issue in the tank that we have to deal with. So this is our before video. So take note of the amount of the bubble algae, and when we come back for looking at the results, we'll compare how much bubble algae there is then. We've also got some cyanobacteria. This will be the third thing that we'll fix once the bubble algae is gone. But yeah, you can see, sorry Duncan, so that you can see how much of this bubble algae there is everywhere. Down here, on this, the face of this one here, it's just everywhere. So let's have a look at the treatment that we're going to use on this tank. The product that we're going to be using to rid this tank of bubble algae is Continuum Clean Equation M. Now, I've used this product in the past. It's very effective on a variety of algae, and importantly, this tank is running without an algae scrubber. There's no refugium, there's no algae reactor, and that's important because this product is rough on anything that utilizes keto or chlorpyrifos. So in this case, we're going to be dosing it as normal. If you had a refugium, I would suggest taking out your keto first. But we've done up a chart so that we can ensure we're putting in the right amount of the clean equation each day. And it starts out for this tank at 5 mils. It then goes up to 10 mils on day 2, to 15 mils day 3, and it increases in volume each day until day 6. After day 6, we drop back to a maintenance dose. Now, my expectation is that the bubble algae will start to disappear on day 6 or 7, but we'll come back in 1 to 2 weeks and we'll see the results. So let's put in today's dose of the Clean Equation M. So that's it for the first half of our treating bubble algae in a reef tank. We'll come back in a week's time and see the results. Here we are back at Bubble Algae Reef, and we've done the treatment of the Clean Equation M, and we're going to have a look at the results. So let's check out our chart and see how it's being dosed. Our Clean Equation M by Continuum was initially dosed on the 31st of January. It was dosed all the way through till the 11th of February, and in fact it was dosed 2 times after that until the bottle was completely empty. Now it's 3 weeks since our initial dose on the 31st of January, and we're going to have a look at the results and see if it has effectively eradicated the bubble algae in this tank. I have to say I am incredibly happy with the results. And my initial look over the tank is that I can hardly see any bubble algae at all. And so I'm just going to have a look at some of the hot spots that we looked at last time, like underneath these anemones and around this rock here, which lifts up. And really, I don't think I can see a single piece of bubble algae. In fact, there's one just here, maybe one there. But this whole area was covered. It was incredible how much bubble algae was in this tank. I'll look down on this side of the tank, and there are really only remnants. There's a very small section just here and here, 1 or 2 here, but this was probably the worst area, and to see how well this treatment worked, it's really, really impressive. We do have other problems that we need to address in this tank, and there's a little bit of cyanobacteria. Interestingly, underneath that cyano there's a bit of bubble algae, so I'm not sure if, let's check over here. Sometimes you seemingly get cyanobacteria after these treatments, and I've always put it down to the bacteria in the system taking a bit of a hit, but this really isn't too bad. So overall, I'm going to say that it was a complete success with our clean equation on the bubble algae. I'm having a look through the tank to see if there's any bubble algae at all, and my initial thought was looking at the tank is that it was entirely eradicated. However, there are a tiny number of bubble algae here, and there's a few on the other side over here and a couple at the back here. Now, compared to when we first started the treatment of the Equation M on this tank, there really is probably only 1% of the bubble algae that we're looking at now. There is a little bit of cyanobacteria which has popped up, and we should be able to easily get rid of that with the maintenance that we're about to do on the tank. And the small amount of bubble algae which is still here will probably disappear when we put a diadema urchin in this tank. Diademas are pretty good at keeping the bubble algae under control, as are some fish like fox faces and rabbitfish. But when you've got the amount of bubble algae that this tank had initially, you really need more than the cleanup crew to help. But we are now in a position where we can use a diadema to really control this, and it's time to start looking at some of the other problems that we have to deal with in this tank. We certainly have a lot of work ahead of us, but it's great to see that the bubble algae is effectively eradicated from this tank. Most of the aquariums that we work on have got algae scrubbers of some description, typically refugium style algae scrubbers, sometimes algae reactors, sometimes algal turf scrubbers. This tank doesn't have any of those, so it's very easy to treat with the Clean Equation M. For systems that do have algae scrubbers, I take the macroalgae out during the course of the treatment and put it back in afterwards. I always do a water change at the end of the treatment, and today this tank is going to get a 50% water change. After that, we'll put our diadema urchin in, and we'll probably start to replenish the corals and really get this system back to its former glory. So that's it for today's episode of Gallery Aquatica TV. I hope you've seen that you can actually fix a bubble algae problem using the Clean Equation M. It's a very effective treatment. Bubble algae does not have to be a big problem in your reef aquarium. Thanks for watching. I'm Cam the Fish Guy. Happy reefing! That's it for this week's episode of Gallery Aquatica TV. Don't forget to like and comment on all our videos and subscribe to our channel. Stay tuned to Gallery Aquatica TV for more exciting episodes to come. I'm Cam the Fish Guy. Happy reefing!